Roger pointed at the corner chair, the one facing the wall. Sit. Alan Grant, 9 years with the company, walked over and sat down. The meeting continued like he wasn't there. This is Unfiltered Black Tales, stories where assumptions cost people everything. Roger Mills leaned back in his chair, phone in hand, scrolling while he talked. We need aggressive expansion, he said. Triple our client outreach, double our sales team, move faster, push harder. Christine Walters, regional director, nodded. Took notes. She didn't look at Alan. Nobody did. This was supposed to be a strategy session. The company was bleeding clients. Morale was collapsing. The board was asking questions nobody wanted to answer. And Roger's solution was to push harder. Alan had seen this before, at his last company, the one that went under in 18 months. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't check it. What about retention? Someone asked. Roger waved a hand. Retention is for companies that aren't hungry. We're hungry. Alan's jaw tightened. He stared at the wall. Roger kept talking. Louder now, filling the room with his voice. We dominate the market or we die. Simple as that. Christine's pen hesitated on the page. She glanced at the corner chair, then back at her notes. 3 days earlier, Alan had submitted a 30-page strategic analysis, market data, client retention models, a phased approach to rebuilding trust. Roger had called it overcomplicated. In front of the entire leadership team. We don't need a research paper, Alan. We need action. The room had gone silent. Alan had nodded, said nothing. Christine had looked down at her phone. Now, in the corner, Alan listened to Roger outline the same strategy that had destroyed his last company. The same aggressive language, the same refusal to listen, the same arrogance. His phone buzzed again. This time, he pulled it out, checked the screen under the table. Board meeting moved to Thursday. Stay ready. Margaret. He slid the phone back into his pocket. Roger was still talking. Any objections? He said. Silence. Alan could feel Christine's eyes on him. He didn't turn around. Good, Roger said. Let's move forward. Chairs scraped against the floor. Papers shuffled. The meeting was over. Christine caught up with Alan in the hallway. Are you okay? She asked quietly. Alan stopped, looked at her. I'm fine. That was... She paused. That wasn't right. No, Alan said. It wasn't. I should have said something. Alan shook his head. You have a job to protect. I understand. Christine looked away. I still should have. Alan didn't respond. He walked toward his office. Christine stood in the hallway watching him go. That night, Alan sat at his kitchen table, laptop open. Subject, Board review. Final assessment. He'd been working on this for 3 weeks. Every data point, every interview, every client complaint. The picture was clear. Roger's strategy would destroy the company in less than a year. Alan had the numbers to prove it. He attached the report, took a breath, hit send. The next morning, Roger called an emergency leadership meeting. Big news, he announced. The board wants to accelerate our expansion plan. He looked directly at Alan. They're fully on board. Christine frowned. Did they review the retention data? They're focused on growth, Roger said. Not maintenance. Alan said nothing. Roger smiled. Unless someone has concerns. The room was silent. Alan stood up. I do. Roger's smile faded. Of course you do. This strategy will fail, Alan said calmly. Based on what? Based on math. Roger laughed. Math doesn't account for vision, Alan. No, Alan said. But it accounts for reality. The room shifted. Christine set down her pen. Roger leaned forward. You have something to say? Say it. Alan pulled out his phone, opened his email, turned the screen toward Roger. R.E., Executive Transition Plan, Alan Grant, Interim Chief Strategy Officer. The room went still. Roger stared at the screen. What is this? He said quietly. The board asked me to conduct an independent review, Alan said. 3 weeks ago. Of leadership effectiveness, client retention, strategic direction. Christine's face went pale. They asked for my recommendation by end of week, Alan continued. I gave it to them last night. Roger's face turned red. This is... They have the full report, Alan interrupted. Client loss projections under your strategy. Employee turnover data. Comparison models from my previous company. He paused. The one that collapsed using the exact approach you're proposing. Nobody moved. The board will make their decision by Friday, Alan said. He looked at Roger. I resigned from my current role this morning, effective immediately. Then he walked out. The room emptied fast. Christine stayed. She sat down in the chair Alan had been facing the wall in. Stared at the wall herself. She'd watched Roger humiliate him, watched him put Alan in the corner like a child. And she'd said nothing. She pulled out her phone, typed a message. I'm sorry, I should have spoken up. She stared at it for a long time, then deleted it. Sorry wasn't enough. By Thursday, the board had made their decision. Roger was gone. Severance package, quiet exit, no announcement. Alan was named Chief Strategy Officer. Christine was called into the boardroom that afternoon. Margaret Chen, the board chair, sat across from her. We're offering you VP of Operations, Margaret said. Christine blinked. I don't understand. Alan recommended you. He did? Margaret nodded. He said you have the integrity to lead. You just needed the room to do it. Christine's throat tightened. He also said you were in an impossible position, Margaret continued, and that you handled it the best you could. Christine looked down at her hands. I didn't handle it, she said quietly. I watched. And now you won't, Margaret said. That's the point. 3 months later, the company stabilized. Client retention improved. Employee satisfaction scores rose. The aggressive expansion was shelved. Alan implemented the phased approach from his original report. It worked. Not because it was loud, because it was right. Christine found Alan in his office late one evening. He was reviewing quarterly data, a cup of coffee gone cold beside him. You're still here? She said. Alan looked up. Could ask you the same thing. She sat down across from him. I've been thinking about that meeting, she said. Which one? The corner chair. Alan set down his pen. I didn't speak up, Christine said. I knew it was wrong. I knew he was wrong. And I said nothing. You were protecting yourself, Alan said. That's not an excuse. No, Alan agreed. But it's human. Christine looked at him. How did you stay so calm? She asked. Because anger would have made it about ego, Alan said. And I needed it to be about results. But it cost you. Alan shrugged. Not as much as it cost him. They sat in silence for a moment. I want to do better, Christine said finally. Then do better, Alan said simply, starting now. 6 months later, Roger sent a message. LinkedIn, short, formal. I saw the company's turnaround. Impressive work. I underestimated you. Alan read it twice. He thought about the corner chair, the dismissal, the humiliation. He thought about responding with everything he'd wanted to say that day. Instead, he typed, We all make mistakes. Good luck. He hit send, then closed the app. A year later, Christine stood at the front of the boardroom. Her first major presentation as VP of Operations, new client acquisition strategy, sustainable growth model, 3-year projections. She was nervous but prepared. She'd worked on this for months, ran the numbers 100 times. The board listened, asked questions. She answered each one calmly. No rushing, no overselling, just data, strategy, truth. At the end, Margaret smiled. Well done, she said. Christine exhaled. She looked toward the back of the room. Alan was there. He'd slipped in halfway through. He gave her a small nod. She didn't need anything louder than that. After the meeting, Alan caught up with her in the hallway. That was excellent, he said. I was terrified, I know. Christine smiled. How could you tell? Because terror and preparation look the same, Alan said. You just have to trust the work. They walked together toward the elevators. Can I ask you something? Christine said. Sure. Do you ever think about that day? The corner chair? Alan was quiet for a moment. Sometimes, he said. Does it still bother you? No. Why not? Alan smiled. Because I'm not in the corner anymore. The elevator doors opened. And neither are you, he said. 2 years after that meeting, the company was thriving. Not the loudest in the industry, not the most aggressive, but stable, trusted, growing. Alan trained a new generation of leaders, Christine among them. She led differently now, listened more, measured success by the team's growth, not her own voice. One afternoon, a new manager came to Alan's office. Young, ambitious, full of ideas. I have a proposal, he said. Aggressive expansion into new markets. Alan gestured to the chair. Tell me about it. The manager laid out his plan. Fast growth, high risk, big rewards. Alan listened. When the manager finished, Alan asked one question. What happens if it fails? The manager hesitated. I hadn't thought about that. Think about it, Alan said gently. Then come back. The manager nodded. Left. Christine had been standing in the doorway. You could have just said no, she said. I could have, Alan agreed. But you didn't. Because he needs to learn, Alan said. Not be told. Christine smiled. You're a better teacher than you think. Alan shrugged. I had good students. Late that night, Alan sat in his office. The building was empty. He looked at the corner chair, still there, still facing the wall. He'd never moved it. Some people asked why, he never explained. But he knew. It was a reminder, not of humiliation, of patience, of knowing when to speak, and when to let your work speak for you. He turned off the lights, locked his office, went home. The next morning, Christine led a team meeting, 15 people around the table. She noticed one of the junior analysts sitting quietly in the back, not participating, just listening. After the meeting, she pulled him aside. You okay? She asked. He nodded. Just, new. Don't want to overstep. Christine smiled. Come sit at the table next time, she said. The analyst looked surprised. Really? Really? As he walked away, Christine thought about the corner chair, about Alan, about the difference between leading with volume and leading with vision. She'd learned, and now she was teaching. The cycle continued, quietly, powerfully, the way it was always meant to. If this story meant something to you, subscribe and turn on notifications for more.